What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about 3 mistakes I made that cost me $10,000 as an aircraft maintenance engineer. Guys, when I started my career, I made a lot of mistakes. Some of them I'm not proud of, some of them because I didn't have anyone to mentor me. And that is why I'm here on YouTube, so I can educate the new generation that are trying to become aircraft maintenance engineers, so you guys don't make the same mistakes. All right, the first one I'm going to talk about is not filing my taxes on time. Oh my goodness, this is probably the biggest one. And you guys would be like, well, Peter, you have a full-time job. How did you not file your taxes, right? This is not my full-time job. Actually, this is not something that happened this year, right? This is something that happened in 2019, end of 2019 to beginning of 2020. This was when COVID happened. Everybody lost their job. So I got laid off from my previous job, right? So when I got laid off, luckily I got a contracting opportunity to contract, right? It was a really short period of contract. It was a 4-month contract, pretty easy job, but it was time consuming. It was a lot of hours. In that year, I made a lot of money. Oh my goodness, I made a lot of money. I was getting paid close to $50 an hour for the contract. Plus, they paid me per diem $100 per day, and accommodation was paid for, transportation was paid for. So basically, all I got to do was to show up to work, right? I paid a lot of money, right? And I was closing every month in that year, in 2020, as a contractor. I was making close to, I would say around $12,000 to $13,000 a month, right? And I did a contract for 4 months, and that was up to, in that period of 4 months, I made up to $50,000, right? But back then, that was my first time in contracting. I didn't have any experience in contracting. I didn't know how self-employment worked. No one taught me. I didn't get education. I just jumped into it, right? So fast forward the next year, I filed my taxes. I filed my personal tax, and I filed my business tax, right? Then the CRA was like, you got to pay almost some significant amount of money, crazy amount of money, right? Why do I have to pay these amount of money? But not knowing that, because my business, right, there are 2 ways you can go into contracting, right? You can go into the corporation world, and you can go into the self-preparatory. So self-preparatory is self-employment, and corporation is like, it's like a company, right? So there are 2 ways. I can get into more details about contracting. If you guys want to, let me know in the video. I can make more videos on how to become a contractor. So basically, I was doing self-employment, but not knowing that self-employment income was calculated to my full-time employment income, right? So that put me onto a really crazy tax bracket, right? I believe in that year I made a lot of crazy amount of money, right? Then CRA was like, now you got to pay these amount of money, right? And I didn't know something about how you can put your expenses. No one told me to keep my receipt. No one told me to keep. I didn't know that. I was just blowing money. I'm saying I was making $12,000 a month. Making that type of money, especially during COVID where people were struggling, I was grateful, and luckily enough, I was making that type of money, right? But CRA came up to me, you got to pay some substantial, crazy amount of money. So luckily, I had a good accountant. So we had to reevaluate my taxes again. We had to check out my bank account history and make sure we can bring out some expenses, because I did actually had expenses, right? But that was the first mistake I made, man. I wish back then, if I was to go back, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a little bit skeptical about contracting right now, because I want to have everything set up in a way whereby it's not, I don't have to deal with that here anymore, you know what I mean? So at that time, it was even more crazy because, oh my goodness, man, I was just blowing money. I didn't save that much money for my taxes because I didn't know how self-employment worked. That was my first time new to it. Now I'm thinking about it, man, I'm really dumb, man. I should have found required information. I could have made it. Trust me, self-contracting, it sounds really attractive. You can make crazy money, but behind the scene, you got to make sure you're making sure your paperwork, your expenses, your taxes, it's in order, because whenever you file your tax return, man, trust me, your tax bracket is going to go to a whole crazy tax bracket. So luckily, I had a good accountant who we took out my expenses, make sure everything was up to balance, which kind of reduced the amount of taxes I got to pay. So I remember that time, I believe I had to pay almost $6,000 back, which was way more better than what CRA came up with. CRA came up with almost $20,000. You know what I mean? That after that next year, I was not contracting. I was not doing contracting. I was doing full time. How would I come up with $20,000 that time? So luckily, we were able to bring the whole tax return back to close to $7,000. I remember that was the first mistake I made. So for you guys that are trying to become an aircraft maintenance engineer or aircraft mechanic, one of the benefits is you can start your own company, right? You can become a self-employed, but please make sure you pay your taxes, and please make sure you're on top of your taxes, because you're gonna be making crazy money. And me back then, I was 24 years old, 23, and imagine you making that type of money at 23. Trust me, man, it's something you don't want to do. You don't want to get yourself in that mess. Luckily, the CRA had an option whereby you can pay monthly, and that was how I was able to cover up the whole tax issue. But that was the first mistake I made. The second one I'm going to talk about, I think I already covered it before in my video, was spending a lot of money on tools I did not need. So when I started my career as an aircraft maintenance engineer apprentice, right from school, I remember I spent almost $1,000 on tools. It was crazy because I went to Canadian Tires that day and I just started buying all type of tools. Almost 60% of those tools, I didn't use those tools. I did not need those tools. Now I'm thinking about it. Why did I even waste that much money on tools? But like I said, it's part of the experience. I didn't have anyone to teach me. I didn't have anyone to mentor me there. You know what I mean? So whenever you guys are trying to buy your tools, please don't waste a lot of money on tools. If you want to start with something that you need, right? I actually have a video whereby I break down the tools you need starting off your career, so please don't forget to check out that video. But starting off your career, you don't have to spend that much money on tools. Go slowly. Buy your couple wrenches, your ratchet, your screwdriver, your socket. Don't buy no Snap-on. If you have the money for Snap-on, please don't even buy it, because Snap-on is like, yes, Snap-on is good quality, you have long-term warranty, yes, you have those benefits, but starting off your career whereby you're not even making that much money as an apprentice, don't invest that much money in tools. You want to start building your experience more. The more you build the experience, then you can start investing more in tools. I am a big fan of investment and investing in tools. It was when I got my license, I started investing more in myself in tools. You know what I mean? So whenever you're buying your tools, please don't waste money on tools. There's a lot of resources now you can buy used tools for. Facebook Market is one of the good ones. Another option is Canadian Tires. They have a really cheap tools that will last you for a really long time. All right, so that was the second mistake I made. The last one I'm going to talk about, this is not really applicable to everyone. This is more for international students. So the last one was I went through an immigration lawyer that was not helpful. And this was honestly, this one I blame myself and I don't blame myself, right? So during my time, for you guys don't know, I came here as an international student from Nigeria, right? And I was about to start filing for my PR process, right? And a friend of mine recommended me to an immigration consultant, and which I spent almost $3,000 for. To that lady, I paid her $3,000 to help me with my PR application. And now that I'm thinking of it, right, and crazily enough, the lady did not even help me out. I was literally the one teaching her her job. Why did I even spend this much money? But where they had an agreement, where they had a contract, so there was no way I could get my money back, right? I was literally the one telling the lady what to do. So for you guys that are in the process of, maybe you guys came as an international student and you're in the process of doing your immigration process, yes, it's a good thing to get expertise who have experience in it, but there are some processes that you don't even need them, to be honest. For PR application, this is something you can do yourself. I can literally, all it takes is a couple hours and you get it done. You know what I mean? You don't need a specialist or consultant to start doing your whole PR application. If I was to go back, it's something I would have done myself, because eventually I ended up doing it myself because I was literally teaching the lady what to do. I paid her money and I was the one teaching her. She was like, she had no clue of what she was doing, basically. So those are the three mistakes I made starting on my career as an aircraft maintenance engineer. This is not to scare you guys, but just to acknowledge and advise you guys what the future mistake you can make, so you guys don't go through the same thing. That's my experience. There's a lot of more mistakes I made, which I'm going to make more video about. But those are the few mistakes I made starting on my career. For you guys that are new to my channel, my name is Peter. I am a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer, and I have hundreds of videos about aircraft maintenance engineering on my channel. Please do not forget to check it out. And if you need someone to talk to, you need someone to mentor you, you need someone to guide you through, I do offer free consultation whereby we can schedule a call and talk about how I can help you out. All right, so please do not forget to do that. All you got to do is text me on Instagram. I'm going to drop my Instagram in the description. And for you guys that are new to my channel, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Love you guys.